Welcome, Red Eyes members. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's nice to have you with us. We are talking to Lon Milo Duquette, and we have primarily been discussing Aleister Crowley, but also a little bit about the some of the Western magical traditions, Rudolf Steiner, and hearing some of the interesting anecdotes, and I guess in one term kind of clarified a few of the misconceptions, I guess, about Crowley, about what he was talking about, what he was writing about, and his veiled terminology, if you will. And it's always interesting to hear from other perspectives and sources about this, because this has been so much tossed back and forth. Again, as Lon mentioned in the first segment, that the conception that he's a Satanist, and there's so much more information that says otherwise, and it's very interesting to hearing about that. And another aspect of this that we didn't really talk about is the idea of Thelema, or the philosophy, I guess, of Thelema as well. And if there's time later on in this second segment, we might go into that too and talk a little bit about that. But I want to talk here at the beginning of this segment, Lon, a little bit about your book, Enochian Vision Magic. And we don't have time to address it all, of course, but maybe you can just give us a little bit of background around the idea of Enochian magic. And maybe you can begin by telling us why you've been drawn in by this. This is, of course, a system that was developed by John Dee and Edward Kelly, if I'm not mistaken. And was this something that you encountered pretty early on as well in your research and studies, Lon?
Well, yes, it was. Back in 1975, I got chartered a lodge of OTO here in Southern California. And it was part of my perceived duties as a lodge master to provide a Monday night, or to provide a weekly magic class. And that class is still going on, so it's sort of dominated my life. But after the first year or so, or approaching a year, I was starting to run out of things to teach these people. If I was going to teach them something, I was going to have to learn something new. And so in a desperate attempt to keep 1 week ahead of my pupils, I thumbed through my gems of the equinox and came across the Enochian material that Crowley had originally published in the Equinox series. And it was it seemed like an exotic, very, very attractive system of magic that looked a little pretty complex. And I pulled out my Golden Dawn book material, and I read up on the how the Golden Dawn utilized Enochian magic. And so between how the Golden Dawn used it and how Crowley used it, it became pretty clear that this would be something that my class would benefit from. And basically, the Enochian magic that was performed by the Golden Dawn, and the way it was used by Crowley, utilizes material that John Dee and Edward Kelly received through their magical angelic contacts, but is material they received only in the last 90 days of their nearly 3 years of angelic magical operations. And that prior to that last 90 days, they received, let's say, 2.5 separate magical systems, or so it appeared. And part of those magical systems were the creation of magical furniture that in their own way seemed like it was a working model of creation that was actually with several moving parts. Okay. And Crowley and the Golden Dawn, published the pictures of this furniture, the Holy Table, the Siglum Deumeth, the Seven Ensigns of Creation, but they didn't do anything with them. They didn't attempt to make them part of their use of the Enochian system. They just sort of published them to tantalize you and me. And so I've been performing and practicing Enochian magic like the Golden Dawn did it, like Crowley did it. Just right out of the Golden Dawn Crowley box, it works wonderfully. If you do X, Y, and Z, visions do appear, and if you do things in a very structured and organized way, and you keep good notes, Enochian magic is practiced by the Golden Dawn, and Crowley is a wonderful weapon in a modern magician's arsenal. Dr. Christopher Hyatt and I, way back in the early 90s, wrote kind of an extended commentary just explaining Crowley and Golden Dawn Enochian magic in such a way as you can read the book in one day and do Enochian magic that night. And that's still in print. It's called Enochian, the Enochian World of Aleister Crowley, with the subtitle Enochian Sex Magic, the titillating subtitle.
Right. Lon, let's say for someone who don't know anything at all about the system, or what the purpose is, or for what reason why one would like to dive into it. Tell us a little bit more about it from the perspective if we're just coming into the subject, if you will.
Thank you for bringing me back to reality.
No problem.
There are two branches of Enochian magic right out of the box. One branch deals with the elemental universe, our manifest universe, matter and energy as we know it, we can imagine all of the energy and matter in the universe as being a wonderfully organized system, and that within that organization are big forces like gravity and electromagnetism and the strong force, the weak force. And then there's smaller aspects of those great forces. And we could look at the big forces as if they were angels, because they actually do have control over how the universe operates. And the little forces, little applications of those giant forces that actually do the busy work, to do the dirty work of the universe, we could look at those as being angels working under the auspices of their big archangels. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It'd be like gravity is an archangel, but the concept of falling, the concept of slipping, the concept of drooping are angels that work within that archangel's authority.
So would you say that it's still one can still, if you know what I mean, still make a kind of a scientific interpretation, but this is another terminology to explain some of the forces and physical laws, if you will, of the universe that we're in?
Precisely.
Gotcha.
And so part of the Enochian magic system deals with these four elements, four great elements of that hold everything in the universe, or make up everything in the universe together. And so you and me are made up of these elements too, not only our physical bodies, but our psychic structure. We could attribute the element of fire to a lightning bolt or the radiant sun, but we could also attribute fire to our losing our temper, or the nature of Tabasco sauce.
Right.
Okay, and so it not only deals with material things, it deals with energy and concepts too. And Enochian magic allows us to treat these abstract concepts as if they were literal angels, with a hierarchy above them and a hierarchy below them, and it gives us the opportunity to take these inner qualities, just like we mentioned in the first minutes of our talk here, take these inner concepts and deal with them as if they were outer concepts. And the beauty of Enochian magic is that the result of your invocation, or if you will, the bringing forth, the evocation of these abstract principles, they take the form of visions that you have in your mind. And the visions, the process of having these visions is called scrying, S-K-R-Y-I-N-G or S-C-R-Y-I-N-G. And it's also called traveling in the spirit vision. So what you do is the process of Enochian magic is to systematically, through the techniques, open up very, very narrow and specific quadrants of the universe, and seeing how they function in the metaphors of images of angels, and images of sometimes they take the form of even stories. In a way, it's kind of hard to explain and very easy to do and experience. I'll give an example. For elemental magic, you go into a very specific subdivision of air. Air, water, fire, and earth. In a way, we think of them as pure concepts, but they all contain within themselves portions of other elements.
Yes.
If they didn't have portions of other elements, there wouldn't be an attractor within the main element that would cause it to bond with other elements. It sort of needs bait. Water needs air bait to attract air.
Right.
Okay. And so it all seems so very cold and abstract. But when you think of it in terms of visions, it becomes marvelously attractive and romantic. Let's say you want to explore a specific level of water, of the element of water, but the one that contains within it large particles of air. And so instead of thinking of it in scientific terms, all of a sudden you have a vision of the bubbles in Perrier water.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And the beauty